This manhwa starts with a silver-haired man pulling the trigger. A middle-aged, chubby gentleman took the bullet straight to the chest. His men shouted, calling him Boss Chow, as he collapsed to the ground. One of the guards immediately fired back. The silver-haired man was riddled with bullets across his torso. As he lay in a growing pool of blood, a thought crossed his mind. The fairest rule in the world is that everyone only gets one life. Cao Shu had lived in glory for years, yet in the end, he died at the hands of someone he once saw as a nobody. And no matter how much wealth he had, even wealth that could rival nations, it couldn't save him now. At the edge of death, the silver-haired man felt a bitter relief. At least he had finally avenged his parents. Still, fate really was cruel. It had taken almost everything from him. Before his eyes finally closed, one thought kept echoing in his mind. He refused to give up. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open. He was lying in his bed, just like someone who had woken up from a nightmare. He was stunned, because in his memory, he had just been killed by Cao Shu's bodyguards. When he looked around, the room felt strangely familiar. It was the small place he used to live in when he was still a student. That's when a shocking thought hit him. Had he been reborn into the past? He quickly turned on the television. The news was showing a massive announcement. A fully immersive virtual reality game called Conviction had just launched its open beta. The moment he saw the broadcast, his heart pounded. Conviction had only just opened its servers, which meant he really had come back. The silver-haired man's name was Yan. He picked up a picture frame beside his bed. Inside was a photo of him standing with his parents. At this time, his mother and father were doing business at the border, trading a strategic metal called plutonium. The state bought it at prices hundreds of times higher than normal. Because of that, their family earned a massive fortune. Later, his father opened a metal smelting company, and their family quickly rose into wealth. But the good days didn't last. When Yan turned 25, everything collapsed. The Shihong financial group struck. Relatives and business partners his father trusted were bribed by Cao Shu and turned against them. The company suffered devastating losses and eventually went bankrupt. His father took poison and ended his own life. His mother fell ill from the shock and died in grief not long after. But the cruel truth was, Yan himself wasn't innocent either. Growing up in wealth had made him lazy. He wasted his days doing nothing. When everything fell apart, he had no skills, no plan, and no way out. So, in the end, he chose the most extreme path, to die together with Cao Shu. But now, heaven had given him another chance. And this time, Yan swore he would never lose everything again. But what he didn't realize yet, this second life would begin inside the world of Conviction. Conviction is a cross-era holographic game that changes the world. Countless financial groups entered in later years, and Shu's financial group also started its rise from Conviction. Conviction quickly became humanity's second world. In his past life, he was also a level 180-plus great thief. He checked his phone for the date, and it stated July 25th, 2025, which means Conviction had only been open for 7 days. This made him think he still has time. At that moment, the highest level on the game's leaderboard should only be level 5. Possessing the memories of his past life, he's fully capable of catching up to them. He believed that this is his great opportunity to turn the tables from a desperate situation. If he remembers correctly, he still had a bit of savings, enough to buy the lowest level game helmet. He was determined to take revenge on Shu, who caused his family's ruin and death. He puts on his jacket, determined to change all of this. That night, he got the helmet. Although he's already 7 days later than others, but reborn, he will surpass all opponents with the force of a thunderbolt and walk to the pinnacle of Conviction. He puts on the helmet. He entered Conviction and was asked to select his country. Conviction is divided into 3 factions. The lawful Goodlight faction consists of the Greenland Empire and the Saturn Empire. The Greenland Empire is a human nation ruled by a council of elders. The Saturn Empire is a tribal alliance nation composed of dwarves, beastmen, and elves. The lawful Dark faction consists of the Demon Descendant tribe and Undead tribe under a chieftain dictatorship. Lastly, the peace-loving people can also choose the giant tribe of the lawful Good Neutral faction. In his last life, he chose the Greenland Empire's Wind Thief class. Years of painstaking effort poured in, he knew all of the skills and class quests of the Wind Thief inside out. So, choosing the Wind Thief again will allow him to utilize the greatest advantage of reliving his life. The system detected that he chose the Wind Thief class. With this, he had chosen to be born in the Greenland Empire. The system prompted him to name his character. He chose the name Yan. The naming was successful, and his character was created. He entered the game Greenland Empire, Carol City. His status panel displayed that his class is Thief at level 1. He has 6 strength, 8 agility, 5 defense, 4 intelligence, 80 health points. He was glad that the familiar feeling was back. He decided to add 3 points to strength and 2 points to agility. In his last life, he added points wrongly, wasting a lot of his leveling time. He made sure not to go down the wrong path this time. Carol's teleport point could send players to different cities, towns, and villages. A level 3 arcane mage was loudly selling a top-quality level 0 whiteboard dagger. The dagger had 2 attack points, which was 1 point higher than the beginner dagger. The price? Only 2 copper coins, and he only had 3 left in stock. Nia Yan immediately knew what was going on. In Rocktown, those same whiteboard daggers sold for 1 copper coin, and teleporting there was completely free. In his previous life, he had fallen for the same trick and bought one, only to realize later he had been scammed. But now, with all his memories intact, he knew better. Nearby, a level 3 Imperial Guard Paladin was offering something far more interesting, a stealth skill book for 6 copper coins. Several players gathered around him. They wanted the skill, but the price was simply too high. Even Neon's attention was drawn to it. He walked up and asked the seller how much it cost. The Paladin repeated that each stealth skill book was 6 copper coins. For a thief, stealth was the most powerful early game skill. It was absolutely essential. And Neon also remembered something from his past life. In the Wildcat monster zone of Tracktown, there was a hidden chest. The skill hidden inside that chest could drastically speed up leveling. That area was filled with level 5 monsters, and right now most players were only around level 2 or 3, which meant no one should have discovered it yet. Nia Yan calmly told the Paladin to give him the book for free. In return, he would tell him a secret, a method to farm more than a dozen stealth skill books in a single day. The seller immediately told him to scram. No way he was giving away a skill book to some random freeloader. But Nia Yan didn't look bothered. He simply told the man not to rush, because if he guessed correctly, those stealth books were farmed from fallen shamans in Linktown. The Paladin froze. He stared at Nia Yan in shock and demanded to know how he knew that. Nia Yan went one step further. He calmly revealed the exact coordinates. 22385, 21338, 23329. Now the seller was completely stunned. The guy didn't just know the monsters, he even knew the coordinates. For a moment, he began to wonder if this strange level 0 player might actually be telling the truth. What confused him the most was this. How could someone who hadn't even leveled up yet know something so specific? After thinking it over, he decided to take the gamble. It was just 1 stealth book anyway. If the information was real, he could easily farm 3 books a day. He accepted the trade request. The system notified Nia Yan that the player Flying Stone had traded an item with him. The deal was done. Nia Yan told him to go to 22385.21338.23329 and hunt fallen shamans. The location was near the fallen shaman camp, and if he farmed properly, he could get over a dozen stealth skill books a day. Flying Stone was excited and immediately prepared to try it. Before leaving, Nia Yan reminded him of one more thing. Fallen shamans could also drop the Night Owl's perception skill. If he got any extra copies, he should send one to him. Flying Stone nodded quickly. As long as the information was real, he promised he would mail the skill immediately if it dropped. Nia Yan then walked toward the teleportation circle. Now that he had obtained stealth, it was time for the next step. Opening the hidden chests. He arrived at Tracktown. He had learned the skill Stealth. Stealth allowed him to enter a presence-concealing state, making him much harder to detect. However, the higher the enemy's level, the easier it would be for them to sense him. He activated it. He dashed through the streets. No one noticed him. He exited the city and headed straight into the forest. Soon, he reached the Wildcat zone. There was a level 4 one-eyed wildcat, along with several level 2 cats roaming nearby. The treasure chest was sitting on a tree branch. In Conviction, treasure chests were ranked from white, silver, gold, dark gold, all the way to legendary. The higher the rank, the better the items inside. The items inside each chest were fixed. Once someone looted it, the chest would disappear forever. And just like he remembered, the hidden silver chest in the Wildcat zone was still there. No one had taken it yet. Even though this was technically a level 5 Wildcat zone, a level 0 player like him had absolutely no chance of fighting here. But there was one advantage. Even if he died, He wouldn't lose any experience or equipment. He activated stealth again, then dashed forward. His current stealth could only last 2 minutes, and opening a chest also required time, which meant he had to move fast. But suddenly, one of the wildcats sensed something and lunged toward him. He couldn't get too close to them. If he did, they would detect him immediately. He performed a quick somersault, narrowly dodging the attack. Then he landed smoothly on the ground. Without wasting a second, he jumped toward the branch and opened the chest. He forced himself to stay calm. Because his stealth could break at any moment, the chest slowly unlocked. 27 seconds passed. Finally, it opened. Yan let out a small breath of relief. This was the first step in his perfect leveling path. Inside the chest was a skill book, Vital Strike, a powerful skill that targeted an enemy's vital points, dealing additional lethality. The skill effect was simple, but deadly. When striking a vital point, it dealt 150% damage. Cooldown, 30 seconds. However, the skill was restricted to only 3 classes: Thief, Warrior, and Paladin. Yan confirmed that the contents of the chest were indeed Vital Strike. It was a top-tier thief skill that could be learned at level 0. With this skill, the difficulty of leveling in the early game would be reduced by at least half. He learned Vital Strike. Then, the stealth effect ended. He jumped down from the branch. He greeted the wildcats and even thanked them for guarding the treasure chest for him. In Conviction, dying normally meant losing experience and equipment. But he was currently level 0, wearing only the beginner standard set, so even if he died, it wouldn't hurt him much. The system notified him that he had died. He dropped a pair of beginner standard gauntlets. After that, he was teleported back to the nearest town. Yan chuckled and commented that this free express delivery back to town was actually quite convenient. Then he moved on to the second step of his leveling plan. He dashed across the town. The second step of his plan required 20 copper coins, but every new account only started with 10 copper coins, so he needed to earn some money first. If his memory was correct, there was a hidden quest chain he could trigger here. He first met Hunter Klaus and accepted a quest to collect 20 silver-gray giant rat skulls. Then, he met Farmer Enda and accepted another quest to kill 50 silver-gray giant rats. After that, he went to see Pharmacist Orr. Orr had already heard from Klaus and Enda that a young man had accepted their quests. Coincidentally, Orr also needed some medicinal materials. So he asked Yan if he would be willing to collect them for him. At that moment, the hidden quest triggered. Yan knew that this secret could only be unlocked if the first 2 quests were accepted at the same time. And this was something that almost no one else knew. He accepted the hidden quest to collect 21 silver-gray giant rat tails. Then he headed into the forest. Soon he encountered a level 1 silver-gray giant rat with 53/53 HP. Yan activated Vital Strike. The attack landed directly on its weak point. Critical hit. The rat died instantly. He obtained 1 silver-gray giant rat skull and 1 tail, and to his surprise, it even dropped a piece of equipment. It was a pair of tough leather legguards, white quality gear, level 0, defense +4, weight 3 pounds. However, it could only be used by warriors from any faction. Even so, if he threw those legguards into the auction house, they could sell for at least 7 copper coins. More silver-gray giant rats rushed toward him. Yan didn't panic. He simply activated Vital Strike again and again. Each strike instantly ended another monster. Yan fought with complete focus. An hour later, he completed the quest from Hunter Klaus, Farmer Enda, and Pharmacist Orr. He earned 34 copper coins and 3 basic instant recovery potions. The rewards for the hidden quest far exceeded his imagination. He didn't expect it to actually give instant recovery potions. He listed the tough leather legguards in the auction house. After that, he planned to go to the weapons store. At the weapons store, the shopkeeper asked him if there was anything he needed. He proudly said the weapons in his shop were the best in the entire western grassland area. Yan told him he wanted a crossbow usable at level 0, with +3 attack or higher, range 12 or more, and a price under 40 copper coins. The shopkeeper showed him a small rapid-fire machine crossbow. It had a triple shot effect and +5 attack. Although the base firing speed was only 8, the rapid-fire effect pushed the actual firing speed to 15. Its range was 30 yards, and the price was exactly 35 copper coins. The shopkeeper asked Yan what he thought about it. Yan bought it. It also came with 9 quivers of inferior crossbow bolts, with 1,000 arrows in each quiver. After the purchase, he had 44 copper coins deducted. He bought 1 small rapid-fire machine crossbow and 9 quivers of inferior crossbow bolts. The shopkeeper was pleased with the purchase. He told Yan to come again and wished him a safe journey. Now he headed toward the bison monster zone. In Conviction, level suppression is absolute. Every 5 levels is a massive gap in strength. The bison monsters were level 8. Right now, even the top player on the leaderboard couldn't deal with them, let alone the bison leader, which was far stronger. Every leader monster in Conviction was considered a rare monster. But since he had returned through Rebirth, Yan had absolute confidence. Even at level 0, he believed he could kill the bison leader despite the level gap. At the bison monster zone, Yan landed on the edge of the cliff. The coordinates were 567.628.192. If he remembered correctly, it should be right here. He found the place. Below him, bison were running across the vast fields. The level 8 bison leader was also there. Its health bar showed 300 over 300. It was the leader grade monster of the bison monster zone, and the distance between them was perfectly within the range of his crossbow. The leader grade monster stood exactly where he wanted it. The small rapid-fire machine crossbow had 5 attack, 8 rate of fire, 30 range, and it also came with a triple shot effect. He fired, and 3 arrows flew toward the bison leader. 2 arrows missed, and 1 arrow landed a vital hit, dealing -1 damage. Its health dropped to 299 over 300. The level gap between Yan and the bison leader was simply too large. Even when he hit, he could only deal 1 point of damage. But that didn't matter. He had brought 9,000 crossbow bolts with him. He planned to grind it to death. He fired again. Once more, 2 arrows missed, and 1 arrow landed a vital hit, dealing -1 damage. Its health dropped to 298 over 300, and the bison leader became furious. It charged toward him. Yan calmly told it to give up. After all, this was a bugged terrain spot that would be confirmed countless times in the future. He fired another volley. The same result, 2 arrows missed and 1 arrow landed a vital hit, dealing -1 damage. He repeated this process countless times. Even after all that, he still had 8,063 bolts left. Then the number slowly dropped to 5,016. 3 hours later, the bison leader's health bar was almost empty. By now, Yan had already used nearly 4,000 arrows, yet the monster still hadn't fallen. The bison leader roared loudly. Yan fired again. Just like before, 2 arrows missed and 1 arrow landed a vital hit, dealing -1 damage, and that final shot finally brought it down. Yan jumped down from the cliff. The system notified him that he had killed the bison leader. Because of the massive level gap, he received a 1,800% bonus and gained 8,290 experience points. His level rose, and he reached level 2. Killing monsters far above his level really gave an enormous amount of experience. It allowed him to jump straight to level 2. He checked the drops. He obtained a bronze-grade dagger. Aside from that, he also received +5 copper coins and +1 horn dagger. Equipment in Conviction is divided into whiteboard, bronze, silver, gold, and legendary grades. Because rare monsters like Leader, Sub-Elite, Elite, and Lord were extremely scarce, only about 1 in 1,000 kills would drop equipment with attributes. That meant every single piece was valuable. Bronze-grade weapons were especially useful. They had about 20% higher attack than ordinary weapons and also came with an additional attribute. Yan remembered that the bison leader should drop level 5 equipment. Even so, the bronze dagger he just got would still sell for at least 3 silver coins, but before selling it, he needed to identify it to see its exact attributes. Just then, the system notified him that his tough leather legguards had been sold. He received +8 copper coins. At the same time, Flying Stone contacted him. Flying Stone excitedly told him that he had gone to the coordinates Yan mentioned, and it worked. He had already farmed 2 stealth skill books, and his leveling speed had become twice as fast as before. Because of that discovery, Flying Stone felt Yan had taken a loss. After all, he only gave him 1 book, yet the information he received was worth far more. Yan told him not to make a big deal out of it. He simply reminded him that if the Night Owl's perception skill dropped, he should send him a copy. Flying Stone promised he would mail it immediately if it appeared, but he was still curious. How did Yan know about that grinding spot when he was only level 0 earlier? Yan casually explained that he had played another account before, deleted it, and then re-rolled as a thief. Flying Stone immediately believed him. He even assumed Yan's previous character must have been a high-level expert, possibly someone who once ranked near the top of the leaderboard. Then Flying Stone asked another question. Had Yan's previous account ever cleared the Fallen Shaman camp dungeon? Their team had tried running it several times over the past few days, but every attempt ended with them getting completely wiped out. They almost lost all of their equipment and experience. Yan calmly replied that he could provide a complete walkthrough strategy. The price? 2 silver coins. Non-negotiable. Flying Stone was stunned. He couldn't believe there was actually a full strategy guide for the dungeon. Still, he trusted Yan. He told him to wait while he went to convince their team captain, and he noted down the price of 2 silver coins. After ending the call, Yan turned his attention back to the dagger. It was time to identify it. Our boy returned to Tracktown. He headed straight to the appraiser. The elf appraiser looked at him and immediately asked what item he wanted to appraise. Yan told her it was a dagger. She told him the identification fee was 10 copper coins. Yan was slightly surprised. Normally, NPC identification fees in Conviction were about 5% of the item's recycling price. Still, he handed over the 10 copper coins. The appraiser used her skill. Moments later, the weapon's attributes appeared. It was a bronze-quality horn dagger, level 0, with the following stats: plus 18 attack, plus 5. Strength weight, 1 pound. It could only be used by thieves, but it was usable by any faction. Even Yan was surprised. Counting its base stats, this weapon had almost 10 more attack points than an ordinary dagger. That gap alone was enough to put him in a nearly invincible position in the early game. Yan now had the weapon he needed. He had also learned Vital Strike and Stealth, but there was still one thing he lacked: sustained combat ability. As a thief, players who wanted better endurance in battle usually chose between pharmacy or bandage skills. Health potions and elixirs were extremely useful because they could quickly restore combat power, but they were also very expensive. However, for the reborn Yan, making money was not a problem. Potions could always be bought later. Because of that, learning the combat bandage skill suited him better. At a medicine shop, he bought 2 basic underwater breathing potions. Then, he prioritized learning the combat bandage skill. At Rando Lake, Yan passed by several players who were fighting monsters nearby. Out in the wilderness, disputes between players happened all the time. Things like kill stealing often led to fights, so he stayed cautious. To reach his destination, he needed to pass through Fisherman Village before entering Rando Lake. Clearing that area normally required at least 1,000 players. Right now, the only way for him to pass through was by using stealth. Then a system announcement suddenly appeared. The Victorious Return Guild announced that they would clear the area in 3 minutes. All players near Fisherman Village were ordered to leave voluntarily. Just like in his previous life, they were still arrogant and domineering, relying on their power to bully solo players. Back then, Yan had even been hunted by them for months. But this time, he planned to settle that score slowly. He activated stealth. He slipped past the monsters without being noticed. Eventually, his stealth effect ended. At that exact moment, a fireball shot toward him. Player Purple Fire had attacked him. The system notified him that he could now exercise legitimate self-defense for 5 minutes. Purple Fire was a level 3 elemental mage. He coldly told Yan that solo players were not allowed here and ordered him to get lost. Yan was slightly surprised to see a member of the Victorious Return Guild. But since the enemy was alone, fighting him wasn't impossible. When fighting a mage, there were only 2 choices: either close the distance immediately or run away. But running away wasn't Yan's style. The casting time for Flame Burst was about 2 seconds, enough time for him to get close. Yan charged forward. His dagger struck Purple Fire in the chest, minus 23 damage. Purple Fire stumbled back. He angrily shouted that this thief must have a death wish. The entire area had already been taken over by the Victorious Return Guild. Then he released Violent Fire Ring. Yan took minus 39 damage. Without hesitation, Yan drank a basic instant recovery potion. Then he calmly told Purple Fire not to think he could escape after letting a thief get close. He struck again. Minus 36 damage. Purple Fire immediately retaliated, swinging his staff covered in flames. He looked down on Yan for only being a level 2 thief. He sneered and told him to think about what he had done after he returned to town. After taking so many of his attacks, Yan shouldn't have much health left. Purple Fire estimated he had maybe 20 HP remaining. Meanwhile, he himself still had 51 HP, which meant one more fireball would be enough to finish this fight. He wanted to show Yan the consequences of daring to oppose the Victorious Return Guild. He began preparing another fireball as Yan charged straight toward him. Yan tightened his grip on the dagger. Then he unleashed Vital Strike. Purple Fire froze in disbelief. How was this possible? Yan was only a level 2 thief, yet he was still alive after taking his fireball. It made him wonder how much health Yan actually had left. Then the answer hit him. It must have been an instant recovery potion. But that raised another question. Yan was just a level 2 solo thief. So where did he get the money to buy potions? Yan calmly told him he could think about those questions after he returned to town. Purple fire disappeared in a flash of light. His staff dropped to the ground. Yan picked it up. It was a level 0 bronze staff. From his estimate, it could sell for around 10 copper coins. However, Yan knew something else. Players from the Victorious Return Guild would probably arrive soon, which meant he needed to leave immediately, and he was right. They appeared soon after, already on high alert. There were enemies near the lake, and Purple Fire had just died there. One of them immediately suggested they chase the culprit. They spotted Yan. One of the players jumped forward. He shouted that running away wouldn't be easy. He swung his sword and used the skill One Strike Sword. But to his surprise, Yan moved incredibly fast, and dodged it. While running, Yan drank an underwater breathing potion. The pursuer quickly realized what he was trying to do. Yan wanted to jump into the water and escape. He shouted to his party members to stop him. One of them used Flame Slash. Another activated Charge. They coordinated their attacks. Their strikes nearly hit him, but Yan suddenly accelerated and leapt straight into the lake. The pursuer immediately stopped. None of them had underwater breathing potions. Soon, more members arrived and asked where the culprit had gone. They explained that they failed to catch him because he jumped into the lake and escaped. One of them guessed that Purple Fire had already respawned. He ordered someone to ask Purple Fire for the thief's name. A moment later, they reported back. The thief's name was Ni Yan. Now that he remembered the name, he planned to catch him next time. Meanwhile, Yan was already underwater. He was relieved to finally shake off that group from the Victorious Return Guild. Then he saw the treasure chest he had been searching for. He opened it. Inside was the Fisherman Water-Repelling Pearl. It was a special item that came with the skill Underwater Breathing. Once activated, it allowed the user to breathe underwater for 30 minutes with a 12-hour cooldown. It wasn't a rare item, but for Yan right now, it was extremely useful. Suddenly, a trident shot toward him. Yan immediately realized something. Underwater, he definitely wouldn't be a match for the fishman. The fishman had been alerted. And then, out of nowhere, the fisherman tribe village exploded. The fishermen who were chasing Yan suddenly turned and rushed away toward the explosion. Yan smirked. The Victorious Return Guild had unknowingly helped him. Their attack had drawn all the fishermen away, which made the area around him safe. He continued exploring underwater and eventually discovered Hard Island. He decided to surface. When he came out of the water, he saw someone near the shore. Yan immediately recognized her. It was Yao Yao. She had been his holy mage teammate in his previous life. He never expected to meet her here after being reborn. Back then, quite a few things had happened between them. Now he couldn't help but wonder if this meeting was fate. Yao Yao was surprised to see him appear from the water. At first, she became worried. 3 monsters were chasing her, and she feared Yan might attack her as well. But instead, Yan rushed forward and used Vital Strike on one of the monsters. Yao Yao immediately followed up with Holy Judgment. The two of them worked together. Soon, the monsters were defeated. She thanked him for the help. Yan simply said it was nothing and introduced himself. When she heard his name, she froze for a moment. She wondered if he might be the same Yan she knew. Then she introduced herself as Chacha. Since he had helped her, she suggested adding each other as friends so she could repay him later. Yan accepted and added her. He then asked what she was doing on Lake Hard Island. He guessed she might be there grinding a quest. She explained that she needed to hunt water spiders to collect water sacks. Yan replied that he was also here farming water spiders, but his quest required fine silk. He suggested they team up and grind together. She agreed immediately. In fact, she even gave him some fine silk she had just obtained from the water spiders she killed earlier. The system notified Yan that she had traded 12 items with him. He knew those items were worth around 36 copper coins, but Chacha didn't care about the money. She felt that the experience she lost after dying earlier was worth far more than 36 copper coins. Besides, she didn't even have a quest that required fine silk, so keeping them was pointless. Yan accepted the items gratefully. Suddenly, the water spider leader appeared. The system notified them that they had formed a party. Yan charged forward and used Vital Strike. Chacha supported him with Holy Judgment. Together, they dealt -70 damage. The monster turned and attacked her. Yan shouted for her to jump. He would pull the monster's aggro, giving her the chance to attack safely. Yan fired his crossbow at the spider. Chacha followed his plan and cast Holy Judgment and Holy Strike. Another -70 damage appeared. After a short fight, they successfully defeated the water spider leader. Internally, she found it strange. Their coordination had been incredibly smooth. Even a powerful leader monster suddenly felt easy to handle. It was the first time she had experienced something like this. Moreover, it was clearly their first time meeting, yet their teamwork felt natural, as if they had been fighting together for a long time. Yan noticed she had been staring at him. He asked her what was wrong. She quickly replied that it was nothing. Then she admitted that his skills were impressive. Because of that, she was curious why someone like him was grinding monsters alone. Yan simply answered that he was used to being alone. Since he was solo, she made him an offer. Her group was currently preparing a walkthrough for Tracktown's Trent Forest, and she asked if he wanted to join them. Yan asked Chacha how many shield warriors her team had, along with their defense and health points. The Trent Forest was a level 3 dungeon, and the boss, the Trent King, was a sub-elite monster. If their shield warriors didn't have enough defense, clearing the dungeon would be almost impossible. She answered that they had 2 shield warriors, each with 53 defense and 230 health points. Yan nodded and said that was close, but still risky. The Trent King had a 2% chance to land a critical hit, and if a shield warrior's defense wasn't at least 60 points, they could easily be one-shotted. On top of that, the priest's healing would need to keep up perfectly. Chacha was shocked to hear that the Trent King could land critical hits. She had never heard anyone mention that before. Curious, she asked Yan how he knew something like that. But their team had been preparing for the dungeon for several days, so they couldn't just give up halfway. To raise their defense to 60 points, they would need at least 1 piece of bronze defensive gear, which was extremely difficult to obtain. Yan told her there was another way. She asked what it was. Yan calmly replied that the solution was simple: let him command her team. Chacha admitted that she trusted his strength, but convincing the rest of the team might not be easy. Still, she promised she would try her best. After that, Yan decided to check what the boss had dropped. When the item appeared, Chacha helped appraise it. Yan was surprised that she had already learned the appraisal skill. The item turned out to be fine silk gauntlets, bronze grade, usable from level 0. It had +2 defense, +3 magic, and weighed 1 pound. It could be used by mages of any faction. It was clearly a perfect item for her. So Yan gave it to her. She looked surprised and asked, "What about him?" Yan showed her the items he kept. One was a piece of rare fine silk dropped by the boss, and the other was a thief skill book called Assassinate. He told her he would just take those 2. She smiled and said that was fair. After all, he had still gotten a pretty good haul. So she happily accepted the fine silk gauntlets. Just then, the system announced that the game server would close in 3 minutes, and all players were advised to log off. Since the server was shutting down, Chacha told him that they would meet again next time. Yan waved goodbye. Then he logged off as well. For now, his leveling journey in conviction had come to an end. Back to reality. Our boy removed the helmet. It was already morning of the 2nd day. Although his progress in conviction had paused, he knew his real body also needed to grow stronger. Kaoshu would surely have many bodyguards around him in the future. Yan couldn't afford to stay weak and passive, so he went outside, and almost got hit by a truck. He fell backward onto the ground. Someone nearby rushed over and asked if he was okay. Yan looked up. It was Zi Yao. He was surprised to see her, but instead of greeting him, she immediately scolded him for being careless and pointed out that he was bleeding. She rushed to her car to grab the first aid kit. Yao was his desk mate, and also the person he regretted the most from his past life. Because of her timid personality, he never managed to confess his feelings to her. And in the end, because she was connected to him, she became a target of Shu's Century Financial Group and eventually developed a severe mental illness. She bandaged his wounds while scolding him, telling him to stop acting so recklessly all the time. She leaned in too close, and when she looked up at him, her face suddenly turned red. Flustered, she asked if he was even listening to what she was saying. Yan replied that he heard her, but deep inside, he was thinking the same thing he thought in the past. She was still just as cute. She turned away and said that no one wanted the trouble of taking care of him anyway. Then she said goodbye and left. While driving away, she wondered if Yan was really the same person she met in the game. But one thing was clear. He had changed a little. He seemed more confident now, just like the person she knew in the game. Meanwhile, Yan felt happy seeing her again. But he knew the madman Shu would eventually destroy everything in his life again. This time, he planned to build his foundation early. Only by doing that could he change the fate of his previous life. Suddenly, he received a call from Tang Yao. Tang Yao asked where he had been since there had been no news about him for 2 days. He told Yan to hurry over. Yan felt relieved, knowing that Tang Yao was still alive. Tang Yao was his best friend. In his past life, when Yan had fallen into the abyss, Tang Yao secretly supported him while risking being discovered by Shu, which made Yan's life much easier. But Tang Yao had a bad habit of chasing women. In his previous life, he fought someone in a bar out of jealousy. Unfortunately, that person turned out to be a big shot with terrifying power. Tang Yao was beaten to death and dumped in a dark alley. But in this life, Yan swore he would never let something like that happen again. Eventually, they met up. Yao threw an arm around Yan's shoulder and laughed, saying he finally caught this brat. Then he told him that the new game Conviction was blowing up everywhere. He asked if Yan was playing it. Yan replied that he had just reached level 2. Yao grinned and said that was already pretty good. Then, he dragged Yan toward the PK bar and bragged that he himself was a level 3 arcane mage. The PK bar was basically a gaming entertainment club. Players could log in with their own characters and fight each other in competitive player killing. But unlike the real game, these fights didn't affect progression. However, since it was still player killing, wagers were unavoidable. Most bets were equipment from the game, sometimes money. And Yao absolutely loved gambling, even though he almost always lost. Wei Kai spotted Yao and immediately laughed, asking if he came to donate more money again. Yao snorted and said they still didn't know who would be the one paying. Then Kai noticed Yan standing beside him. He smirked and asked if the beating from last time wasn't enough for him. Yao patted Yan's shoulder and confidently said that as long as Yan was with him, those guys wouldn't dare do anything. Kai narrowed his eyes. Yan looked strangely calm today. He wondered what happened that suddenly made this guy so bold. Yan told him to stop wasting time and get on with it already. He put down a wager of 200 per round. Kai accepted right away and put on the helmet. The match started. Yao, a level 3 arcane mage, versus Kai, a level 3 berserker. Yan immediately knew the outcome wouldn't look good. A level 3 berserker had already learned charge, which was terrible news for an arcane mage. On top of that, the terrain was completely flat. Without obstacles, dodging was almost impossible for a fragile mage. In Yan's mind, Yao was definitely going to lose. Someone nearby suddenly spoke to Yan and told him not to bother watching. Yao was clearly about to lose. Instead, he suggested that Yan play around with him. Yan agreed, but only for 1 round, and he added that he wasn't interested if the wager was too small. The man frowned, clearly irritated. He told Yan to stop acting so arrogant. Then he declared he would teach him a lesson and bragged that he had 700 on him, so they might as well play 1 match. So the match was set. Yan, a level 2 wind thief, versus Shifeng, a level 2 ranger. They loaded into the battlefield. It was a bamboo forest. The moment the match started, both of them activated stealth. Just like that, both players vanished. Feng quietly climbed onto a bamboo branch. He muttered that Yan had been way too arrogant, so he was going to make him pay for it. But no matter how carefully he looked, he couldn't find where that kid was hiding. What he didn't know was that Yan had already predicted Feng would take the high ground. With 10 years of thief experience, hiding his presence had long become second nature. In the next moment, Yan appeared right behind him. His dagger flashed. The blade stabbed straight into Feng's neck, instantly dropping his HP from 110 to 70. Feng was completely shocked. He had no idea when Yan got behind him. Panicking, he tried to slash backward, but Yan had already stepped away. Then he calmly said that the match was over. He activated Vital Strike, and the damage number popped up. -70. Feng died in the game. Everyone around them was stunned that the match ended so quickly. They couldn't believe Feng lost that fast. To Yan, defeating a level 2 beginner ranger felt more like bullying than a real fight. Feng sat there in confusion, trying to understand what just happened. Yan had only made a few simple moves, yet he struck the vital point perfectly. It was a clean 1-hit kill. He couldn't help wondering when Yan became so decisive. After all, this was the same Yan who used to stay quiet and swallow his anger. It was hard to imagine that kind of player pulling off a move like that. Yan turned to Yao and asked how his match went. Yao sighed and said he lost 2 rounds and 1,200. He complained that Kai had learned the berserker skill Anti-Magic Aura, which completely countered his arcane mage. Yan shook his head and said, Anti-Magic Aura only reduces a small amount of magic damage, so it wasn't as scary as Yao thought. As long as he timed his spell release correctly, fighting a berserker was actually simple. Yao admitted that his timing was terrible. All his skills went on cooldown, and the moment Kai closed the distance, he got instantly killed. Yao stared at him in surprise. Somehow his friend suddenly knew a lot about the game. He asked Yan where he learned all that. Instead of answering, Yan simply waved the cash he had just won in front of him. Yao's eyes widened in shock. One of the guys nearby got annoyed and asked why Yan was acting so arrogant. He stepped forward, planning to swing at Yan for daring to win their money. He wanted to teach him a lesson. But Yan grabbed his hand and slammed him straight onto the ground. In his previous life, Yan had trained his body for situations like this so he could deal with Shu. Yao stared in disbelief. He wondered when Yan had suddenly become this strong. Feng quickly realized they shouldn't provoke Yan anymore. This guy clearly wasn't easy to deal with. Kai also noticed something strange. Yan was completely different from the person he remembered. Some of their friends were about to jump in to help, but Kai stopped them. Even he couldn't believe Yan had just beaten one of his underlings so easily. Yan casually said that he had just played one round with Feng, but honestly, the guy was a little weak. Kai narrowed his eyes and invited Yan to play a round with him instead. Yan said he was fine with that, but not if the stakes were too small. Kai smirked and offered 1,000 per round, saying he had 3,000 total. Yao was shocked. Kai was a level 3 berserker, while Yan was only a level 2 wind thief. Yan calmly raised the bet, 3,000 per round. Kai laughed and said he was completely fine with it. After all, he didn't believe a level 2 wind thief could turn the sky upside down. Yao quickly grabbed Yan and asked if he had lost his mind. Did he even have that much money? Yan answered honestly, no. So Yao had no choice but to lend it to him. He even joked that if things went wrong, he was ready to risk his life together with him. Soon, they logged into the game. The match began. Yan versus Kai. They appeared in a wide open field, standing face to face. Yao frowned when he saw the terrain. Fighting on flat ground was bad news for thieves who relied on hiding their presence. Kai even offered to change the terrain if Yan felt it was unfair. Yan simply shook his head and said there was no need. Then he activated stealth and disappeared. Kai looked around carefully, but he had absolutely no idea where Yan had gone. Yan knew the grass clumps could easily expose a thief's position. Kai would definitely judge his movement by watching the grass, so Yan needed something else to mask his path. The wind. Kai suddenly noticed the wind picking up around him. His expression became serious. Losing track of the thief like this was not a good sign. He swung his sword cautiously around him. It was the first time he had ever seen a thief use stealth with this level of control. The grass that should have exposed Yan's movement was instead being used to confuse him. The wind suddenly died down. Yan stayed perfectly still, waiting for the next gust. The moment the wind returned, that would be when he attacked. Kai assumed the kid must be moving extremely slowly in stealth to avoid revealing any flaws. Based on the grass, he believed Yan should be somewhere in front of him. Then, the wind suddenly blew beside him. Before he could react, a sharp strike landed on the back of his neck. His HP dropped from 165 to 130. Kai spun around and wildly swung his massive sword. He couldn't believe the brat had slipped behind him. He immediately unleashed Whirlwind Slash. But Yan already knew something important. After equipping a greatsword and using Whirlwind Slash, there would always be a backswing animation of about 1 second. And that single second was the key to winning. But this dum-dum didn't hit anything. He missed. Yan seized the perfect timing and activated Vital Strike. Everyone watching the match gasped in shock. The damage number popped up, -96. Kai's HP instantly dropped to 34 out of 165. Furious, he retaliated with Flame Slash. His giant sword burst into flames as he lunged forward at Yan, roaring for him to die. Yao shouted at Yan to dodge. Fast. Yan already saw it coming. Kai was about to use Flame Slash to push him back and reset the distance. But as a thief, close range was his advantage. His health bar was still in a good spot. Even if he tanks the hit, he cannot afford to lose this distance. -56 damage. Kai's face darkened. This brat actually tanked his skill? He clicked his tongue and called him arrogant. He immediately followed up with one strike slash. The blade landed again, and right after, he lunged forward. Yao's face turned pale. Charge. It has a brief stun. If Yan gets caught, it's over. One of Kai's men mocked him, saying Yan was just pretending to be a big shot, taking hits like it was all for show. Then they froze. Yan dodged it, at point-blank range. Charge had reach, but not longer than a dagger. And the moment Yan saw the opening, he already knew. This was it. He slashed. Blood burst from Kai's neck. The force sent him flying backward. Kai's HP dropped to 0. Just as Yan expected, he still got clipped by the charge, but he struck first. Minus 40 damage. It didn't matter. The system announced the result. Yan wins. No one could believe it. A level 2. Just defeated a level 3 berserker. Kai's underlings were completely stunned. How did this brat know the exact range of a berserker's skills? How did he read everything so perfectly? Kai himself couldn't accept it. He lost. Yao rushed over, hyping him up for beating someone above his level, but Yan just brushed it off and said it was a fluke. Yao wasn't convinced. If anything, this proved Yan knew way too much about conviction. So he immediately asked him to teach him how to play an arcane mage. Yan agreed without hesitation. Then Kai and his group walked over. Yao tensed, asking what was wrong, hoping he wouldn't go back on his word. But Kai simply admitted defeat. Clean. He said he yields, and if they ever have time, they can drop by his bar. Then they left. One of his men asked why he was being so polite to Yan. Kai said, "You don't just look at the present, you look at the future. That kid has changed a lot, and he might skyrocket soon. Better not make him an enemy." Yan told Yao they should head out too. He made some good money today, so he'll treat him. As for the arcane mage lessons, they'll handle that tonight in-game. Night fell. Yan started working out. His body was in great shape. Even he had to admit, having a young body like this felt way too good. After finishing, it was time to log into Conviction. As agreed, he still had to run the Trent Forest with Chacha's team. He put on his helmet and entered the game. He appeared back inside Conviction. Notifications popped up immediately. Player Z had sent a friend request, and player Flying Stone had deposited 1 silver coin into his storage, saying the walkthrough Yan gave actually worked. They had already cleared the fallen shaman camp, and the remaining coin was left for him. He also asked if Yan had a guide for the Ogmat Muddy Swamp, since he urgently needed it. Yan accepted Z's request, since that was Yao. And since he was already here, he decided to bring him along for the Trent Forest run. As for the Ogmat Muddy Swamp guide, he couldn't keep selling walkthroughs non-stop. That would raise suspicion. Better to wait until they fail a few times, then sell it at a higher price. After handling that, Yan turned to something else, a hidden quest. Nearby, he spotted a man fishing. When he approached, he recognized him. Physician Blevins. The moment he got close, the hidden quest triggered. Blevins asked how many fine silks he had collected. Yan handed over 30. Blevins thanked him for his generosity. As a reward, he gave him 30 pieces of silk back and offered to teach him a skill. The system prompted him, learn intermediate combat bandage. This was exactly what Yan came for. He accepted it. With intermediate combat bandage, he could craft and use better bandages. Each one costs 10 silk and restores 20 HP. The cast takes 10 seconds, but can be interrupted after 3. It can even be used on teammates. With that, the hidden quest, Physician Blevins' commission, was now 20% complete. Yan frowned. Only 20%? He thought turning in the silk would finish it. Then it clicked. This was probably a chain quest. Blevins confirmed it. 30 silks weren't enough. He needed more. He asked Yan to gather additional fine silk. Then a message popped up. Chacha. She said the team was ready and told him to hurry. Yan replied that he was on the way. As for the chain quest and leading Chacha's team through Trent Forest, both required precision. So before anything else, he decided to farm the Featherfall Jewel inside the forest. At the Tracktown teleportation point, Z was already waiting. Yan had promised to carry him through a dungeon, and he was starting to wonder where he was. Right then, Yan appeared. He told Z to follow. He'd take him to farm the Trent King. Then another group arrived. Chacha waved at Yan. Standing beside her was Yulan. Z's eyes lit up the moment he saw them. 2 beauties. Not bad at all. He nudged Yan, asking when he met them. Chacha cut in, saying she had put in a lot of effort to convince Lan to join. So Yan better not embarrass them. Chen Bo, a wind thief, didn't look pleased. Yulan greeted Yan. She asked if he was the wind thief Chacha mentioned, the one who could lead them through Trent Forest. In her mind, she sized him up. Calm, steady, not rushed. He had the air of someone experienced. Yan answered simply. He was 100% confident in clearing the dungeon, but before they start, he wanted to make one thing clear. He would be the team captain, and everyone had to follow his commands. The group didn't like that. Chenbo immediately questioned him. Why should they listen to him? What if he didn't actually know anything and got them all wiped? Lan scolded Bo, reminding him they had already agreed on this beforehand. She asked what stunt he was trying to pull now. Bo couldn't believe she was speaking up for an outsider. She apologized to Yan on his behalf and told him to go ahead and create the team. She would have everyone join him. Since that was settled, Yan made it clear she must follow his commands without exception. If anyone had complaints, they could settle it with him afterward. If they didn't like it, they were free to leave. But if anyone tried anything during the run or caused a wipe, he wouldn't hold back. He created the team. Lan, Chacha, BZ, and Mineral Water joined. Lan declared that from this point on, Yan's orders were also her orders. Anyone who tried to play tricks behind the scenes would no longer have a place in her team. Bo joined with a dark expression. Yan stated their goal, clearing the Trent Forest dungeon. Aside from him and Z, everyone else was on the same side. Even if they didn't like him, there was no need to sabotage the team and risk a wipe. He added that if any mistake happened because of his commands, he would compensate them with 10 silver coins. That shocked everyone. Lan leaned toward Chacha and quietly asked where she found this guy. His confidence and boldness made her think, maybe they really could clear it. Chacha just smiled and said Yan could definitely do it. Yan then had everyone introduce themselves along with their stats. He started with the Shield Warriors. Boiled Water went first. Shield Warrior. 61 defense, 230 HP, 27 attack. Main tank. Next was Boiling Water Dumplings, also called Dumplings, another Shield Warrior. 51 defense, 160 HP, 28 attack. Then Blazing Flame, a fire mage with 32 magic damage. Then Pumpkin, and the rest followed. After that, Yan gave his first commands. Boiled Water was to buy a haste potion. Pumpkin was to get a strength potion. They were stunned. Those potions weren't cheap. They cost dozens of copper coins each. Some of them hesitated, saying the expense was too high. Even if they cleared Trent Forest, there was no guarantee they'd earn it back. Bo sneered. He thought Yan actually had some skill, but this? Buying that many potions? Even as leader, there's no way he could clear the dungeon like this. Z fired back immediately. He said Bo talked too much nonsense. It just sounded like he couldn't afford the potions. If he didn't have money, he could lend him some. Bo snapped, asking what he meant. Z answered plainly. He meant him. Chacha clicked her tongue. She asked Yan if clearing normal difficulty, Trent Forest really needed this many potions. She also worried they might not make the money back. Yan simply said she would understand soon enough. Having them buy potions was definitely not a waste, because what he was planning to clear wasn't normal difficulty. It was the highest tier, expert difficulty. Lan ordered everyone to buy the potions exactly as Yan instructed. No one argued anymore. They all followed. Once everyone finished buying and the team was complete, they set out. They arrived at a forest clearing with a strange stone at the center. Yan told them to stay put while he opened the dungeon. He stepped forward, placed his hand on the stone, and began reciting the incantation. In front of the trees of the ancient forest, you find ancient text carved into a strange giant stone. Those who pass through the forest absorb the dew from the first light of dawn. The shepherd's whistle echoes through the woods, awakening the slumbering souls of the trees from ancient times. The scout of the Greenland Elder reports traces of dark elves in the forest, and you mutter to yourself, these damn dark elves, why won't they just stop? When the chant ended, the system prompted him to choose a difficulty for the Trent Forest dungeon. Easy, normal, hard, master, or expert. And of course, Yan chose expert. A magic circle instantly formed beneath their feet. In the next second, they were inside the Trent Forest. A notification appeared. Expert difficulty. The team froze. Panic spread immediately. Some of them prayed Yan had misclicked. There was no way they could clear this. But Lan didn't think so. Someone like Yan wouldn't make a rookie mistake. Which meant he planned this from the start. Bo exploded. He accused Yan of trying to get them killed. He demanded to know what they did to deserve this, forcing them into expert difficulty just to wipe the team and make them lose experience. Yan didn't even react. He simply said, if you're not satisfied, leave. Chacha stepped in. She reminded Bo that Yan was her guest. If he had a problem, he should say it directly instead of targeting him nonstop. Bo panicked and immediately denied it, but inside, he was furious. He couldn't accept that she was siding with an outsider. Yan spoke calmly. Expert difficulty wasn't that complicated. The monsters just had 30% more HP. Shield warriors needed slightly better defense. Mages needed to deal more damage. That was it. As for the boss, the Trent King, there were some changes, but he'd explain when they got there. Lan listened closely. He made it sound simple, but in a dungeon, even a 1% difference could cause a wipe. And this was a 30% gap. Where was his confidence coming from? Chacha asked him directly if he was sure. Yan said it wouldn't be a problem. Bo stayed quiet this time, but he watched carefully. He wanted to see how this guy planned to clear an expert dungeon. The team moved deeper into the forest. Suddenly, the vines began to move. Yan warned them immediately. They were entering the trance attack range. The vines would strike fast. Everyone needed to spread out. Most of them reacted instantly. One didn't. Bo. The vines shot out, wrapped around him, and slammed him into the ground. Everyone tensed. Bo was being dragged. He panicked and screamed for help, even calling out to Yan. "Captain Nirvana Flame, help me!" Bo was dragged away while screaming for help. Yan reacted instantly. He ordered boiled water and dumplings to attack from the right. Then he had the paladins form a human wall while the mages unleashed full power. They moved without hesitation. The tanks blocked the tree ants' branches. The mages fired off attacks of different elements. The tree ants' HP dropped. Someone cut the vines, and Bo crashed to the ground. Bo lashed out. He accused Yan of doing it on purpose. He claimed Yan had noticed the Trent and didn't warn him. Otherwise, how could he stay so calm in that situation? Yan didn't flinch. He told him to get his facts straight. They spotted the Trent at the same time. Even the shield warriors dodged it. Yet him, a thief, couldn't? He really didn't understand how Bo even played that class. Z added fuel to the fire. He said blaming others for your own lack of skill was honestly funny. At this rate, even a random thief off the street might perform better. Bo's face turned red. Lan stepped in and told him to stop. He had already embarrassed himself enough. Hearing that, Bo couldn't believe she was siding with them too. Yan cut it off. Enough talking. They needed to keep moving. The Trent forest was filled with traps left by dark elves. He would clear the path himself. And along the way, Bo could watch and learn how a real thief plays. They continued forward. With Yan leading, someone suddenly shouted a warning, a falling trunk ahead. Yan reacted instantly, weaving around it with ease. He didn't slow down. Another trap triggered, a net dropping from above. Yan sliced it cleanly in one motion. Zai was stunned. He didn't expect Yan's thief gameplay to be this smooth. Lan nodded, impressed. His movements were sharp, efficient. His trap-clearing speed was on another level. Bo scoffed, said it wasn't anything special. He could do the same. Then, he stepped on something. The ground gave way. He dropped straight into a spike pit. For a second, he thought he was dead. But a hand grabbed his leg, pulled him up, and threw him back onto the ground. Yan looked at him and said it plainly. This was the first time he had seen a thief this bad. Bo snapped back, claiming Yan set him up. Yan passed that spot just fine, so how did he fall? Z immediately called him out. Ungrateful. If Yan hadn't saved him, he'd already be dead. Yan didn't argue. He just said the facts. Bo stepped into the trap himself. It's not like anyone pushed him. Did he really think every place Yan walked was automatically safe? Then he ended it cold. Someone like him wasn't fit to play a wind thief. Bo got offended and immediately challenged Yan to a duel. He rushed forward, aiming to kill. Yan didn't even move back. He caught the blade between his fingers and calmly said a 1v1 was too boring. If Bo wanted, he should call a few more people. Otherwise, it wouldn't be interesting. Lan stepped in and told them to stop. She pointed out the obvious. Bo stepped on the trap himself, yet he was taking it out on Yan. Chacha added that Yan was the one who saved him, and yet he still blamed him. She didn't expect him to be that kind of person. But Bo refused to back down. He insisted it was Yan's fault, that he set him up on purpose. Yan saw the trap and didn't warn him. They were teammates, yet they sided with an outsider. Boiled water cut in and told him to stop. Yan did nothing wrong. If anything, Bo was the one constantly targeting him, and everyone saw it clearly. Bo suddenly laughed, then challenged Yan to prove himself. He wanted to see how Yan would clear this dungeon. After that, he left the party. Chacha quickly apologized to Yan for what happened. Yan just brushed it off. Honestly, it was better without someone like that dragging them down. At the same time, he realized something. If he wanted to run dungeons in the future, he'd need to build his own team. Lan said they could talk about it later. For now, they needed to focus on clearing the dungeon. Half an hour passed. Yan returned after scouting ahead in stealth. He told them the path forward was completely blocked. 18 Trents in total. Lan's expression changed. That number was too much. They couldn't handle that many at once, Yan reassured them. He wasn't stupid enough to make them fight all 18 together. Then, he jumped onto a tree branch. The others looked at him, confused. Yan pulled out his crossbow. He was about to show them what god-tier aggro pulling really looked like. He released the arrows from his crossbow. 3 bolts shot out at once, cutting across the clearing in different directions. The party froze, confused. Some thought his hand slipped. Boiled Water tensed, worried this would alert all the Trents and get them wiped. Then, Yan spoke, calm and precise. He told Boiled Water to block at 289.288.212. The arrows struck. Several Trents reacted at once, minus 11 damage. Lan's eyes widened. This wasn't random. Using a triple-shot hand crossbow to hit 3 separate points and control aggro like this, it was a technique she had only heard about. Something almost mythical. She turned to Chacha, stunned. Where did she even find this guy? 18 treants were packed tightly together. Hit one wrong, and the entire group would swarm. But Yan not only found the perfect angle, he split their aggro cleanly. This level of precision required insane eyesight and control. Even top-ranked thieves would struggle to pull this off. She muttered that if they had someone like him before, their survival rate would go up by at least 30%. Chacha finally understood. This guy wasn't just good. He was on another level. Meanwhile, the Trents surged forward. Yan gave orders instantly. Boiled Water would take one. Just hold steady, keep his center of gravity, and the Trent wouldn't break through. Everyone else would follow and focus fire the remaining target. The team moved. Boiled Water braced himself and blocked. And just like Yan said, it worked. Lan called out for him to hold on. Their side was already done. They were heading over. The mages cast together. Spells flew out, and the incoming vines were cut apart midair. The Trents collapsed. Then, something dropped. Equipment. Mage bronze grade gauntlets. They were stunned. This was expert difficulty, and just 2 Trents already dropped gear. Back when they ran easy mode, they didn't even see a single drop. Chacha turned to Yan, still amazed. How did he do all this? It was insane. Yan kept it simple. Just like he said, he would lead them to clear expert difficulty. Now they just had to repeat this method and wipe every Trent in the forest. Another arrow flew out. It hit a Trent. It roared in anger. Yan didn't stop. He led the team forward, step by step, tearing through the dungeon. 20 minutes later, the team was resting. They sat in a circle, with all the loot piled in the center. One of them said he didn't expect expert difficulty to be this rewarding. They had only cleared a group of Trents, yet so much equipment had dropped. While they were distracted, something moved behind them. Yan already sensed it. He told them this was only the beginning. The rewards in expert-grade Trent Forest were far greater than this. He told them to rest well. Once they were done, they would keep moving. Soon, they reached a crossroads. Yan told them to go west. Lan frowned. West was a dead end. They should be heading east. But Yan simply told her to trust him. He wouldn't let her lose out. What she didn't know was that this branching storyline was deeply hidden. At this point in the game, no one in Conviction had discovered it yet. They moved forward. Along the way, they heard the sound of a flute. Yan's eyes sharpened. That was who he was looking for. The Trant herder, Ianpat, an old man, known as the Guardian of the Forest. In the past, under his care, humans and Trants coexisted peacefully. But something changed. Dark cultists appeared. The Trants broke free from control and began slaughtering humans. The Greenland Council decided to step in and eliminate the Trent King. That was the main storyline of the dungeon. The old man noticed them and immediately warned them to leave. This place was dangerous. The Treants would kill any human on sight. And once night fell, under the moonlight, their strength would grow even more terrifying. Yan stepped forward and greeted him. He said they came to wipe out the Trents and bring justice. Ian Potts snapped. He told them to stop. The ones who deserved death weren't the Trents. It was those vile creatures hiding underground. They were the ones who deserved divine punishment. His voice trembled with anger. Those dark elves. They stole his flute and hid in the shadows, mocking everything. Lan whispered, surprised. Was this a hidden storyline? How did Yan even find this NPC? She asked Chacha who exactly she brought with her. Chacha had no answer. Z on the side was just as shocked. Since when did Yan become this insane? Without triggering this quest, they wouldn't be able to defeat the expert-grade Trent King. Yan answered calmly. He said he had already noticed those creatures the moment he entered the forest. He prayed that the holy light would cleanse them. Ian Pat's eyes lit up. This adventurer could actually sense them, he quickly explained. 2 dark elves stole his flute. That was the root of everything. Without it, the forest fell into chaos. He handed Jan a special item, Dust of Appearance. 3 uses, a consumable that reveals all hidden enemies within a 30-yard radius for 20 seconds. He told Jan to find them, kill them, and retrieve his flute. Only then could the Trent King be defeated. Jan accepted. With the item in hand, he told his team to follow. Then, he threw a rope over the edge of a cliff and jumped down. The others quickly followed. As they moved, Lan asked if he really knew where the Dark Elves were. Jan said yes. They slipped through a narrow crack in the cliffside and entered a hidden path. Jan pointed ahead. They were there. This time they would trap them like turtles in a jar and take both of them down. Chacha asked how he even knew they were there. Jan answered simply. They had been following them from the very beginning. A chill ran down her spine. She looked around. Nothing. But Jan could already feel them getting closer. Jan explained that the 2 dark elves were extremely cautious. If they didn't finish this in one move, they'd escape, and catching them again would be almost impossible. The elves stayed hidden, silently tailing them, waiting, until they took the bait. Jan threw the Dust of Appearance. The hidden figures were instantly revealed. The dark elves panicked. They turned and tried to escape. But Boiled Water and Z were already there, blocking the exit. The elves had no choice. They attacked. Boiled Water held his ground and blocked the strike. Z raised his hand, fire gathering fast. A fireball shot out. It hit one of the dark elves directly. Lan and the others rushed in to support. Jan gave the order, finish them. The flute was on their bodies. He engaged one of them head on. The elf lunged, claws flashing. Jan stepped in and struck back, a clean, vital hit, -50. Then, Lan followed up. One clean swing, and the elf's arm was severed. The dark elf dropped, dead. Jan exhaled. He picked up the flute. With this, clearing the Trent forest would become easier. Ian Pat's flute could be used by anyone level 0 and above. When activated, it instilled fear in Trent-type creatures, reducing their stats by 50%, while increasing users' HP by 300. However, it only worked inside the Trent Forest dungeon. Then Chacha called out to him. She found something else, a letter. When Jan picked it up, a new prompt appeared, a hidden branch quest. Deliver the secret letter to General Veratran and warn him about the Drow tribe's counterattack. She asked what was written on it since she couldn't fully read the text. Jan said it was part of a branching storyline. Once they cleared the Trent Forest, they just needed to return to the city to turn it in. Everyone was excited by the unexpected reward. Now, they were even more eager to finish the dungeon. Jan handed the flute to Boiled Water, since he was the team's main tank. Boiled Water was shocked. His HP jumped by +300. With this, even facing the Trent King head-on didn't feel as scary anymore. They moved out again. Z couldn't hide his admiration. Back when they entered the forest, some of the team still doubted Jan, but now their attitude had completely changed. He felt proud. Soon, the forest turned chaotic. They engaged the Trents together. The massive trunks crashed down one after another. From the drops, they obtained a bronze-grade round shield with +10% defense. Boiled Water compared it to his old gear. This one was far better. Lan approached Jan with a request. She knew it was a bit much since all of this came from his leadership, but she asked if she could buy the shield. With it, even without Jan, their team might be able to challenge higher-level dungeons. Jan said he only needed thief gear and the Featherfall jewel from the Trent King. Everything else would just be sold anyway. Selling was selling, so if they needed it, they could take it. Lan thanked him sincerely. Chacha also apologized, saying he ended up losing out because of them. Then she thanked him as well. Suddenly, vines burst from the ground. The earth cracked open as more vines surged upward. Jan's expression sharpened. He warned them. The boss had arrived. Everyone get ready. Formation now. Shield warriors up front. Follow his commands. The Trent King appeared. Level 4. Lord grade. 100,000 over 100,000 hit points. It roared, cursing the humans for invading its territory. Then, it attacked. Thick vines lashed forward. Jan ducked under the strike effortlessly. Lan was stunned. A level 2 thief. Handling a level 4 Lord grade boss this cleanly? She had never seen anything like it. Jan gave orders immediately. Boiled Water would tank. Melee fighters stay behind him. Magic classes were forbidden from entering within 30 yards of the boss. Boiled Water felt the pressure right away. Its defense was insanely high. Yan called for the mages, then gave the signal. Attack, together. Spells of different elements fired at once, while boiled water held the line. Alright, that's it for today's story. If you want the weekly chapter updates for this series, those will now be uploaded on my second channel, Manhwa Updater. So if you don't want to miss what happens next, make sure to check it out and join the update gang. Thanks for watching, stay cool, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.